Hello everybody, I am Fuzzy Face. Welcome back to this Motorsport Manager career. We're back with part 6 today here on this Audi Formula 1 season, where Project Audi as we like to call it. We're heading to Portugal for the Tondela Grand Prix. It should be a decent race for us. Obviously last time out we had a pretty good race when we headed to Russia for the Black Sea Grand Prix. Stoffel Van Dorn outraced Sebastian Vettel, 9th place overall. Stoffel Van Dorn also outqualified Sebastian Vettel. I think they finished 12th and 14th respectively, so a pretty good overall race for us last time, picking up 10 points. As it is with the standings, we're currently 6 overall, we're just behind Renault. McLaren a little bit further ahead. It's surprising that Renault are so far behind here, 5th place. They do have one of the better cars, and we will have a look at that in a minute. Meanwhile, as it is, we're still working on this gearbox. We haven't introduced any new parts to our car. We've improved as much as we can do at the moment, so as it is, any improvements now, along with a lot of the AI teams, it's whatever parts go into their car. Our engine has slipped a little bit further behind. A lot of the other cars have taken, like Haas have taken an engine from Renault, Prema have taken an engine from Ferrari, so a lot of these cars getting the Spec 2 engine from their parent teams or their engine supplier teams. Prema, obviously Ferrari is their parent team as we go ahead. We're still the sixth best car overall, so it's not too bad. We're pretty much there. Gearbox, brakes, front wing, we're above average. Obviously tracks that favour suspension, rear wing. Hopefully there's not a track that favours engine, suspension, rear wing. If that does happen anytime soon, we would be there. Oh, look at that one. Vancouver is going to be a track we really struggle at. Vancouver, that is going to be a hard track for us there if we're below average in all those parts by the time it gets there, which I think we will be. The gearbox, we're going to have finished 6 days, just in time. We should have the new gearbox finished for Cape Town. Then it's going to be 34 days for a new engine. I don't think we're going to get that done in time for Vancouver, but as usual, I'll just grab my notebook here. We'll run through the updates. Ferrari have upgraded their gearbox. It is a pretty substantial gearbox improvement for Ferrari, so they're going to have hyper acceleration going into this race at Tondela. Mercedes haven't upgraded anything at all. The same for Red Bull, no new parts introduced there. McLaren, the same as well for them, no new parts. And Renault is a new suspension for Renault. As we look at Renault, they've got the best car in the game overall. Whether they can get up to speed in this race, we've seen for some reason Renault are just off the pace. Ocon's got a dodgy neck, which has downgraded him a little bit, just almost half a star, whereas Daniel Ricciardo is one of the best drivers in the game. Obviously, I don't know why Renault are struggling. Audi, we've been over, we haven't made any improvements. Haas, other than the little improvement they've got to the engine from taking a Spec 2 Renault engine, no real improvements in that car. Aston Martin, who a slight engine improvement and also a new spec front wing for them. Williams have no improvements there. Alfa Romeo, just try and find them on my list. Front wing and a engine upgrade from Ferrari as well, which has upgraded them. Prema have taken an engine from Ferrari, and they've also got a new spec front wing. And AlphaTauri have got a new gearbox. Not a substantial upgrade to the gearbox, they're still lagging behind. Drivers not there with Gasly and Vips. Two decent drivers with a lot of potential, just not quite there at the moment overall on the grid, and they've also got the worst car, so it's not quite there with AlphaTauri at the moment. Vips, sort of middle of the road where you'd be expecting him to do. Maybe you'd be expecting Vips to be, he's got a bright future ahead of him, but it's not quite there at the moment in this game, so we're just going to skip ahead. We're going to get straight into this race here. Our pit crew has improved since the last race. We're getting pretty much there with how our pit crew's doing. We're currently first overall, but I don't think we're the quickest. I don't think 2.2 seconds is the quickest. I think some of the other cars, maybe like Mercedes, they can do a sub 2 second pit stop. We still got a little bit of room for improvement with the tyres. Overall, in the quickness of the pit stop, it currently takes just under 1.8 seconds to do a tyre change. So hopefully that is something we're going to be able to improve, but we're in a good position now where if we're in a position to undercut or anything like that, I'm going to feel quite confident going ahead and getting those pit stops done. You know, I'm going to take Audi. It is 45 laps, so we're just going to go across the board, 744. But other than that, we're going to jump straight into practice here, which you don't get to see practice, and we will be back in a second for qualifying. Right, so we're back with qualifying, just about to start. We've got soft tyres, a little bit on the qualifying trim, sort of went with the race trim over the qualifying trim. Car set up perfect with Vettel, seemed pretty handy in practice, so hopefully the fact that our engine is a little bit behind isn't going to affect us too much. We do have one change that we can make before we have to go into part ferme, which is we're just going to change the gears down slightly. It's the only change we can make before we get into qualifying. One change allowed. Obviously, once we start qualifying, part ferme is in effect. Not for the AI, meanwhile, but there are rules. So what can we do here? We've got just going to wait for a little bit of a gap here. Get Van Dorn out of the pits on a fresh pair of soft tyres, and we say that, and a Prema comes out ahead of him. Meanwhile, just try wait a tiny little bit, get Vettel out as well onto a fresh pair of softs. He's got a little bit of space to work with, so hopefully the fact that our engine is quite a way behind the upper echelon teams, quite a way behind even the average, hopefully that is going to work in, well, not work in our favour, but not work against us here. Vettel did seem pretty quick in practice, so hopefully that is something that is going to translate here into qualifying. Van Dorn, meanwhile, already 4 tenths off over the first sector. That would be over Daniel Ricciardo, who looks like he's about to set the quickest. Nope, he's been, yeah, Leclerc's bettered him in sector 2. Ricciardo takes provisional pole at this moment in time. Where is Van Dorn? Van Dorn's about to finish, goes 5th overall, quicker than a Prema and an Aston Martin here. If we switch to Vettel, Leclerc has gone quickest by 2/100ths of a second. Vettel is not that far behind. That is a, it's not telling me there, but that is a 6th place from Vettel, quicker than a Renault, quicker than a Haas and a Williams. So it's not too bad. If we can crack the top 10 with this engine in qualifying, that would be amazing. Saying that we dropped to 10th, there's not many others to go, no. So after the first round of pit stop, it is Verstappen in a Mercedes. That is an improvement from Mercedes here. If they can go ahead and snatch pole here, obviously things do usually change up. And that is Bottas in the Alpha. He's had a lot of finishes where he's been like 20th downwards, or qualifying where he's been on the back row of the grid. That is a massive improvement from this Alpha. This Alpha currently running a new Spec 2 engine from Ferrari, so a good improvement from them. Where is Giovinazzi here as well? I cannot even see Giovinazzi. He's 20th, that's why I can't see him. I'm looking for him further up the order. 20th, the 3rd for Giovinazzi. So that is an outstanding qualifying from Valtteri Bottas. So we're just going to run along here to the end of qualifying. We're starting to see the other cars come out, so we're going to get Van Dorn out first. Hopefully he can show an improvement. He's currently 16th on the grid. Wait for Van Dorn to get out a quick second, and then we'll try get Vettel out here. Obviously the tyres do have to change. Are we going to beat this Mercedes out of the pits? No, we're not. And we're currently alongside a Red Bull as well. So not the best release there out of the pits. But at least Van Dorn does have some room to work with here. I don't think we're going to be able to stay ahead of the Renault of Ocon. Maybe, yeah, the other cars ahead of us. Bottas, though, look at that time. Just under 2 tenths off pole position. Whether the Alpha can hold on over this next qualifying lap. Van Dorn is starting his second qualifying lap, his second flying lap here. He's got a Renault in front of him. I'm guessing that is Esteban Ocon in front. Yes, it is. So we're going to get to see what Ocon does over this lap. So Van Dorn over the first second is quicker. And that's actually quicker than the pole lap, apparently. Ooh, could we be in for a decent qualifying? Leclerc looks like he's about to set a quicker time. Leclerc goes, no, yeah, Leclerc up into first. 5 tenths quicker there. Van Dorn is quicker than his first lap. It looks like a decent qualifying lap. Oh, slowed down by a Renault right on the last corner. That's Ocon going slow around that last corner. Up into 10th though, which means Vettel has Van Dorn out-qualified Vettel once again. He has. A 10th for Van Dorn, a 13th for Vettel. So Van Dorn once again out-qualifies Sebastian Vettel here. Vettel not getting to grips with this Audi. Obviously Vettel has had that fever. Maybe that's something to do. He's not at grips with the car at the moment. But yeah, 10th and 13th, where the engine is at the moment. I'm not too disheartened with that. Obviously, if we get this race right, it should play in our favour. I don't think there's any rain forecast in the early going over the first almost half of the Grand Prix. Since we're in the top 10, we do have to start on the sauce for Stoffel Van Dorn. But meanwhile, since we're outside the top 10, that means we can maybe start with the hards for Sebastian Vettel. It's going to be... We could run a one stop with Vettel and go hard, medium. Would take us 48 laps into the race. It would mean conserving the tyres. a soft hard would take us 42. We're not going to get to the end of the race anywhere like that. That would be a 2-stop if we use a soft tyre at some point in the race. So maybe we should go hard with Vettel and keep the option open of a 1-stop for Vettel. Obviously, it's going to have to be a 2-stop with Stoffel van Dorn. And we did get the setup perfect there in the end with Van Dorn. So let's jump into this one quickly. Run down the grid order for this Portuguese Grand Prix. It is a prancing horse. Front row, Charles Leclerc, 2.5 tenths ahead of his teammate Nico Hulkenberg. On the second row of the grid, we've got Fernando Alonso. He's got a dodgy neck as well. His fitness is going to be affected over this race. So the Red Bull in third, Mercedes in fourth of Max Verstappen, followed by Danny Rick in the Renault in fifth. Valtteri Bottas in the Alfa managed to hold on. 6th place for the Alfa Romeo, absolutely outstanding qualifying. Out-qualifying his old teammate Lewis Hamilton in the second Mercedes. He's 8th for Lando Norris in the McLaren. Albon in the Red Bull 9th. A top 10 start for Stoffel van Dorn. Good qualifying from him. Great qualifying. Ocon outside the top 10 in that Renault. 11th place. Sainz 12th in the McLaren. Vettel disappointing from him. Out-qualified once again by Stoffel van Dorn. 13th will be starting on the hard tyres, and we're sort of at the point now where everyone else will be on the hard tyres. Sainz is on the hard tyres. Magnussen on the hard tyres in the Williams is 14th. Newgarden in the Haas 15th. Stroll 16th in the Aston Martin, a little bit of improvement, out qualifying George Russell for a change in 17th. Giovinazzi in the Alfa 18th. Schumacher in the Prema 19th. Perez in the Haas 20th. Then we've got Schwartzman in the Prema, Vips in the AlphaTauri, Gasly in the AlphaTauri, and then rounding out the back of the grid we've got Nicholas Latifi 24th in the Rocket Williams. We're going to go and look at Van Dorn at the start here since he's higher up the order, although that has switched back to Vettel there. Let's go ahead, and a slow start from Van Dorn. Can he hold on? A decent start from Sebastian Vettel. We're just going to start pushing a little bit to see if we can make up some distance. It's a random roll for the start of the race, so no point pushing from the off too much, and it is really hot here, so we're going to have to really look after these tyres if we do want to do the 1-stop with Vettel. But as it is, Vettel had a decent start, didn't manage to make up many places though. He got off the line pretty handily, but dropped back a little bit after that. He's obviously on a hard tyre, so he's going to be a lot slower than the cars on the soft tyre, but he's got Williams there. That is Kevin Magnussen. Can Vettel make this move on Kevin Magnussen? He can. Gets the Audi up into 15. Van Dorn, meanwhile, is battling away with Lance Stroll here. And that is Carlos Sainz in front. Have we got the run on Lance Stroll? We have. Have we got a run on Carlos Sainz down the straight? I don't think we've got the pace for that, although he gets up the inside. Gets a little bit close. Can't make it stick. And since it is so hot here, we're gonna have to look after these tyres, aren't we? Otherwise, we're gonna be in a position. It's so hot. So I'm going to have to look after these tyres quite a lot as this race goes on. The weather is really hot. It does cool a degree around about the midpoint of the race, but it's still way too hot. But Van Dorn, meanwhile, has got Norris. That's Norris. Where has Stroll's fallen? Way down the order since we overtook him. He's falling rapidly. I don't think there's a problem with his car. He's just falling off here. So Van Dorn, a place outside the points. That is Alonso. Did Bottas get off the line? Alright, he did. He's managed to hold on quite well. He started 6th. He's got 8th overall. Hulkenberg, he's got off the line quicker than his teammate. Hulkenberg looking to end the 4-race win streak of Charles Leclerc. Leclerc has won the first 4 races of the season here. Verstappen has got away pretty decently. He's in 3rd. The Renault of Danny Rick is 4th. Then we've got Hamilton in the Mercedes. Ocon, Albon in the Red Bull. A decent start for him. Where is Alonso? Alonso hasn't been having the best races of late, and he has been running wide quite a lot. He finds himself in 11th. Obviously, he's got that dodgy neck at the moment, so he's falling behind. Van Dorn's managed to get himself up into the top 10 under pressure from this Red Bull at the moment. Seems like everyone else is down back on what they're doing with the tyres as well at the moment. This is getting a little too hot, so we're going to try cool it down, get into optimum temperature. As we said, that Van Dorn manages to make the move on Carlos Sainz, moves himself up into 9th place, although he's going to lose it on this corner. Maybe if we give a little bit of room to push, I don't think we're going to be able to recover it. Going round the outside, under pressure from Alonso as well. Alonso locks up, a few cars locked up there. I think it was Sainz locked up, everyone locking up around that corner. Have we got the pace here to get back at Carlos Sainz? I don't think we do. So as it is, we're going to go, oh, we do that, and then we do get the run on Carlos Sainz. So maybe we're quicker around this part of the track. So as it is, we're really gonna have to cool down. This tyre's getting way too hot at the moment. Meanwhile, this hard tyre is staying nice and optimum in this temperature. It's keeping its temperature nice and handy here. So that's going to be giving him some good lap times on this hard tyre. We're not going to be losing too much time. So maybe the hard tyre is a good tyre to be on around this track with the temperature the way it is. Meanwhile, as it is, we're just going to have to start cooling down. Norris is cooling down as well. Sainz has moved out, and that is Norris getting the run of us, as we've seen that McLaren quick around that part of the track. If we can just hold on here as the two McLarens battle away with Fernando Alonso, former McLaren man himself in that Red Bull Honda. So as we see, we should be, we're a lot better in this part of the track. We pull away, but as we get around to the start-finish line, that is when things start to get a little bit worse for us. Although Vettel's starting to catch this group up as well, which is going to do Van Dorn a massive favour if we can start putting pressure on Carlos Sainz here. So as we see that McLaren catches up here around this part of the track, but we managed to stay pretty, managed to do quite well there at staying ahead. So we just got Vettel. We've got someone in the pits. Who is that? Kevin Magnussen was in the pits for something. I don't know if he'd broken his front wing, but Magnussen has been qualifying pretty decently as of late, but just the race pace is not there for the Williams. So what have we got? Hulkenberg is still out. We've got a 5-second gap, so it looks like even though it's going to be maybe another Ferrari winning this race, it might be a different driver. It's going to end the, if he can manage to do it, end the win streak of Charles Leclerc. But Van Dorn doing really well here in 9th place. Obviously, we've still got those two McLarens hanging on behind us. Sebastian Vettel has managed to get past Alonso, whereas Russell has got past Alonso as well. And Russell challenging Sebastian Vettel here. So if we can just drop down here, see if we can get this run on behind us. We've got all these cars behind us. Who is that as well? That is an Alpha of Giovinazzi as Russell goes flying past. Russell just flies past Sebastian Vettel there. Just don't know what's up with Vettel this season so far. Whether this game doesn't really take into account the fitness after recovering from an injury, it can't really be that. Russell is on the same tyre as well. We're doing a 145. We're losing about 7/10 to those cars on these soft tyres that are ahead. Well, losing about that to Stoffel Van Dorn. But obviously Vettel is in a lot of trouble. Well, he's in a lot of trouble there. That is him falling back to Alonso as well now. Oh, and there's Alonso locking up again. Alonso making a lot of mistakes. Whether that's down to age or what the game considers as a prime candidate to make a lot of mistakes, but he's making a lot of mistakes this season. And yeah, we're just trying to get this tyre back into optimal temperature as well. So we're managing to hold on whilst we cool this tyre down, which is a good sign that we might somehow get points out of this race. I was thinking it might be a little bit of a stretch to try and get points out of this race, but if we can go ahead and get some sort of top 10 finish out of this race, but Vettel is just at war here with Alonso. It's good to see, but not good to see in the fact that I just want us to have a nice steady first stint with Sebastian Vettel. Keep him in and around. Oh, and that is someone breaking down. Who is that breaking down? Is that Joseph Newgarden? Something wrong with his car, maybe the engine or anything. So the Haas breaking down here on lap 9 of the Grand Prix. Hulkenberg still that 4.7 seconds ahead of his teammate. These softs are about to go off as well, so if we just try cool these down a lot more, obviously that is possibly going to let Norris past us. Don't want Sainz getting past us as well. What we want to do is we're going to try give up. Track position's always good, but yeah, should I have done that? What we want to do is just cool this tyre down. We want to sort of hang on to the pace of the cars around us. Obviously Sainz is on that hard tyre. That hard tyre is going to be a lot better than ours, probably a lot quicker than ours at the moment, because we're at the point where we can get into the pits. We know we do have to two-stop with Van Dorn, and we do know this hard tyre is a pretty good race tyre to be on. So if we can now, we've cooled it down, if we just go ahead and push this tyre. It was too hot to do that with at first, but if we can just go ahead and push this tyre, obviously we've got cars in front of us now that might obviously be slowing us down, but we did need to cool that tyre down before we went ahead and did this. Just see what we can get out. So we do get Sainz back. Can we get Norris back? Possibly got one more lap after this one that we can do before we're going to peel into the pits. I don't know how long a pit stop here is. If it is 20 seconds, there is a little bit of a gap to Schwartzman that we could pull into. obviously, and then it is just a waiting game of waiting for Lando Norris to make his pit stop to see where we come out. Sainz is in a really good position on that hard tyre though, now that he's doing a one-stop. Vettel is in not too bad of a position himself. He's got a little bit of room to push here. The tyre cooling down, we might just have a couple of laps pushing. Alonso has dropped off. He's lost a place to Giovinazzi and has dropped off. These soft tyres are starting to go off at the moment, and well, you're going to have to cool down. These tyres are way overheated, aren't they? So if we get in now for a hard tyre, so these softs can go to about 15%, so we're just about there. It would be the super softs that went off at 20%, so, and there we've just cooled off. If we can just hold on now for this lap and get into the pits, I think we can push from this point into the pits on lap 12. If we get into the pits, and hopefully we've got a little bit of air. I don't think we're going to have much, if any at all, but we're going to get onto this hard tyre, which seems quite a handy race tyre. Yeah, oh, is that a little bit of a gap? No, a tiny bit of a gap. We're out behind the AlphaTauris. We're going to push for a few laps, and then we're going to go in medium. Hopefully we can get about 26 laps out of this tyre. Vettel has gone to halfway, lap 13, which does bode well for getting to lap 26 on that tyre. Obviously the hard tyre can go to 0% before it falls off a cliff. If we can get that out of this tyre for, well, we do need it for Vettel, we do need 26 laps because we can't go hard. A lot of these AI cars might be going hard. Following my own rules, I can't do that. But we're just going to push for a few laps here, see if we can get past this AlphaTauri. If we go all out, we do need to clear the AlphaTauri, and that is it. So we can start dialing back now. We're just waiting for Lando Norris to make his pit stop. He's in the pits. He's managed to get out just ahead of us, but he has gone for a soft tyre. Obviously that soft tyre is going to move away from us in the early point, but hopefully we can start pulling that gap back as his soft tyres start to go off. That would be what we want to happen here. So Vettel currently running 11th place. Ricciardo's been into the pits for the Renault. They've gone for a soft as well. Fernando Alonso has caught onto the back of Sebastian Vettel. He's about to peel into the pits this time around. So where is Alonso going to come out of the pits? Vettel goes through. Van Dorn goes through. And Vettel comes out into some traffic, which it bodes well for Sebastian Vettel here. He's possibly going to be able to pull away from Fernando Alonso as this race goes on. And that's Hulkenberg into the bits. No, it wasn't Hulkenberg. Yeah, Hulkenberg's been in and out. 5.9 seconds. It's a pit lane pretty short here. Is anyone coming into the pits that is coming round here? Have we seen anyone peel into the pits? I don't think we are. It looks like the pit lane, because we cut out a lot of this slow corner around here, and you sort of come in a little bit more speed, like average speed to about this point. A little bit of a shorter time in the pit lane. Because Hulkenberg is only 6 seconds. He was possibly about 5 seconds ahead, so maybe it's only about 10 seconds as a pit stop here. Like, say if we say we're going to pit Vettel, it says he would come back out in 17th. 44 seconds, yeah, so it's about 10 seconds in the pits this time around. And we see Verstappen is about to come into the pits. He's under pressure from Hulkenberg, who's already pitted. He comes into the pits. Verstappen will come out, possibly not just behind his teammate. So a good pit stop there. The top runners, obviously, they've got a lot of gap to fit into when they come into the pits. Just away here in the early going out. Look, they're already pitted. Have Verstappen and Ricciardo, and they're already away from a Red Bull. So really quick for the top teams here. Red Bull not performing around this track. Alonso has pitted. He's currently stuck in 17th, struggling behind a Haas and an AlphaTauri. Vettel, meanwhile, that is Alfa Romeo in front. That is Valtteri Bottas in 10th place, has pitted for a soft tyre. Does have to pit again. Don't really want to waste his tyre and try to push past him, but is he actually slowing us down at the moment? We're sort of doing equal at the moment. Obviously we've used a lot of fuel in the early going, which is sort of how I like to run things. We pick up the bonus from having a lot less fuel in the car. And we've got, who is that behind Vettel? That is Alexander Albon, who's been into the pit, so we're not really fighting with him either at the moment. But if we can clear Valtteri Bottas here, who is on a younger soft tyre, and we're keeping up with him here. And there we go, that Red Bull's gone now. That Red Bull has gone. So we're not even going to try push now. Or should we? We're still. He managed to take both. I didn't think he was going to take both. If we can get this Alpha, sort of get released from that Alpha, because he was slowing us down a little bit. Obviously, Bottas did have a good start, but that car is not all the way there. Hamilton has been into the pits now. He gets out into 5th place. So the top of the order. He's still got Hulkenberg about 6 seconds in front of Leclerc. Verstappen, Ricciardo, Hamilton, Ocon. He managed to get himself up there in the Renault. This is a better race for Renault here, more like them. And we've got one Norris. We've got one McLaren. One Norris outside the points. The other one inside the points. Although Sainz does have to pit. Meanwhile, we're still just waiting for the time when we have to pit Vettel. Obviously, there's about another 7 laps to that, so we're just going to speed up a little bit here as we watch these cars fly around. Oh, and that is Vettel locking up, just what we didn't need. We do need him to get to that lap 26, because there is 22 laps that we can do on this medium. I do want a little bit of leeway in that tyre, just in case it can't make it, because we've seen not many other cars using the medium tyre here. Obviously, we might see it with a lot of these cars. Are going to maybe go medium that have started the race on hards. It's going to be interesting to see, but this tyre wear is not, yeah, well, no it's not, but these can go to 0% before they start to fall off a cliff, which is what we want. As it is, we've used 1.3 laps over the fuel, which would take about 13 laps to recover. We're just going to keep pushing for now. Obviously, the engine is in pretty decent nick on both cars, so no worries there. As that, yeah, that is Bottas that has managed to get back past, and we've got more cars coming into the pits, and that is Bottas locking up there. Stoffel Van Dorn sets a personal best lap of a 1:43.4 on these hard tyres. He's flying at the moment. It's Stoffel Van Dorn. That was a really good last lap there for Stoffel. These hard tyres doing him pretty well here. Carlos Sainz is behind, does have to pit again. So we're in good stead there, because that softy's not going to get Carlos Sainz to the end of the Grand Prix. So maybe this is going to work for Sebastian Vettel, because maybe he's the only car doing a one stop here. Whether these medium tyres, the AI has decided they're not working around here. Maybe they know something that we don't. But we've got another 2 laps that we can do here. So we're only doing... Oh, what is that? What's happened to Norris? Running wide and his tyre's gone. Did something happen there? Why did it skip to us? Did Van Dorn get hit or something? Who knows? But Van Dorn, Sainz has gone in front of him, but obviously we know Sainz does have to pit again. There's no real point trying to defend that position too much, which is going to sort of waste time. Although we have released Sainz ahead of us. Vettel, meanwhile, is not really slowing down, but obviously the cars that are on fresher tyres are a lot quicker than him. We've got one more lap here, so here we go. We've only managed to get 24 laps out of this tyre. Not quite what we wanted, so we're going to pit. We're going to push for this last lap, 22. Oh, it's going to be a little bit of a stretch. I could do that one and get to the end, but we've got to use 2 different. So it is going to be a matter of looking after that medium tyre with Sebastian Vettel. Going to have to really look after it. Obviously the weather is hot, but it's going to get a little bit cooler towards the end of the race. We're going to cool down another degree here, so hopefully that is going to work in our stead as we go past Giovinazzi there. Giovinazzi is going to come into the pits as well. If we can stay ahead of some really good racing Giovinazzi. He's got up there. What is Giovinazzi on that hard tyre? So we want to try and get into the pits, in and out in front of him. I don't think we're going to get in front of him, alongside him. Obviously we should be able to make a quicker pit stop than the Alphas here. So in, no mistakes, no mistakes. Come on, come on, come on. And there, just we gained a little bit, but not much. And then, yeah, Giovinazzi's gone for that medium as well. And we don't really want to be stuck in a battle where we're pushing this tyre. Obviously, Giovinazzi's come straight out of the pits, try to cool those tyres down. We've managed to stay out ahead of him. Schumacher does have to pit. He's going to be coming in a couple of laps, so we're not going to push to try and get past him. Whereas Van Dorn, 15 laps it's rated for this soft. What is everyone else getting out of it? Around about that 15. Van Dorn only got 12 out of the first one, but he was pushing for a little bit on it as well. So if we can get to around about the point 15, 14, maybe 13 laps, somewhere around there, if we can get to that point in the Grand Prix and then get into the pits, that would would be the best option for us, as we're under pressure here from Alonso. Does have to pit. A lot of these cars on these soft do have to go again. Van Dorn does so. Vettel is looking in a bit of a better position here than Stoffel Van Dorn, although there is only 10 seconds to a pit stop. They are pretty even if Van Dorn can get in and then on a soft. I'm not going to use team orders. Or should I? Because Vettel would be on a used medium by that point, and Van Dorn would be on a really nice fresh pair of soft tyres. Obviously, it's just the strategy that's working out a little bit better for Vettel at this moment in time. But Van Dorn does have room to push with this tyre if he's going to go onto a soft. He's got about half of this tyre length left. He's done 13 laps so far. He's actually doing a little bit better than Vettel did on this tyre. Although a lot of that is because Vettel, we did push in the early going on this tyre for the first few laps of the race. Vettel just currently in clear air at the moment. So as it is, we've got Hulkenberg up in front. First place for Hulkenberg. His teammate Leclerc, looks like his run of wins is coming to an end. Verstappen is currently on the podium at the moment. Ricciardo has pretty much gone through this soft tyre. He's going to get in for his second stop of the race a lot earlier than these other cars. Hopefully Renault's not going to mess up like they usually do with the strategy. I think that is one of the reasons why they've been a little bit further behind. Hopefully they're going to go medium or hard. They're not going to go soft and have to make another pit stop. And there we do, medium. Renault are going to the end of this race. Ricciardo gets out behind his teammate. You would think they would order Ocon to let Ricciardo past, because Ricciardo is in a pretty decent position here to get that 5th place, maybe challenge for the fourth place over Hamilton. As it is, we're just waiting for Van Dorn here. So who else is there? Ocon we saw. Albon. Sainz is now back to the Sainz has just flown off into the distance on that soft tyre. Obviously he's going to get to the point where he can go soft again, isn't he? Because Sainz did start on the hard tyre. He's gone the opposite to us, in that he's gone hard, soft, and then we'll go soft again. Meanwhile, we've gone soft, hard, and then soft. Obviously, being in the top 10, I couldn't pick the hard tyre. According to I couldn't pick the hard tyre to start the race on. I think Sainz was just outside the top 10, so the AI themselves, usually if they're in the top 10, will pick the softest compound. But Van Dorn's still flying here. That is a 142.1. That is pretty handy for that hard tyre. He's matching the times that Vettel is doing on this medium tyre. Good racing here from Stoffel Van Dorn. He's sort of making a case for himself to be #1 driver. Maybe not this season, but if it does become the point next season, obviously they're both in equal cars, but yeah, to be considered #1 driver. Vettel just not on the pace at the moment in this Audi, although we say that, and Vettel's about to set his quickest lap of the race, but then sort of falls off at the end. Does a 142.7 to the 142.3 of Van Dorn on a quicker, fresher tyre. I'm going to try to get him back into the optimal range as well. I think points are not on the card here for Sebastian Vettel, so it's mainly just all about managing Stoffel Van Dorn. There's 15 laps left, so we're just going to get pushing now. We do have to look after the fuel from this point forward, but we can just push his hard tyre. Oh, no, Van Dorn. Just praising him, and then he runs wide. We've got to praise him, and then at least he's only lost time to the car of Bottas, who he wouldn't have been challenging much anyway, because Bottas has already done his second stop. But has that cost us points? Van Dorn running wide. And is it quicker for us to just be pushing all out on this used hard tyre, or is it quicker for us to go onto a soft tyre? So let's just try one more lap on this hard. That is a massively, like 147, lost about 3.5 seconds over that lap, which has put Vettel, just released Vettel now. Van Dorn's, yeah, he's going to have lost out on points here because of that lap. There we go, we're going to pick up time this time around. Can we beat, what are we going to do? I would want a mid 142, if we can get a mid 142. No, yeah, we're going to get off this, onto the soft. Maybe we can improve again over this lap though to get that mid 142. Yeah, we can. get a mid 142. But obviously there's not much room for pushing on the soft, so let's get ready. You know, it is going to be a mid 142, but we're going to get off this hard tyre. Albon goes quick at mid 140. A mid 140 for Alexander Albon, a great lap. So we're just going to push a little bit out of the pits here. We've cooled this down enough. Whereas Vettel is going to have to go into low mode, try and get these two cars equal on fuel. Possibly going to have to run in low for a couple of them towards the end of the Grand Prix, whether we have to do that earlier rather than later. But yeah, running wide. It's cost Van Dorn the chance at points here. Obviously our engine's not there. Is Vips going to the end of the race? Can he get 10 laps out of that tyre? 56%? Yeah, he's going to be able to get it out. So we're behind Vips because of him running wide. Lost about 4 seconds. Yeah, we should have been around about here. Possibly out of the points anyway. A lot of these other cars are a lot quicker than us over a long distance as well. And we're just going to... Yeah, not much we can do there. We might as well just try to recover a little bit of this fuel, so we've got a little bit of room to push at the end of the Grand Prix. There's not much we can do from this point forward. We've got Giovinazzi and an Alfa behind us. Yeah, with the engine the way it is, you see, this is where we should be expected. I wouldn't be expecting as much higher than this. Obviously, there is an Alfa, an Aston Martin that we're sort of alongside with Russell, who's not that much further up the road from Sebastian Vettel. This is where we should be. There's a Red Bull in front of us, yeah. So this is sort of where we would be. There is obviously Norris, who's a bit further down. We would expect a McLaren to be in front of us. It's just good to see the Renaults actually performing for once. 4th and 6th, obviously. We should be seeing podiums, wins out of the Renault, wins out of the Red Bull. But as we've seen, just Ferrari dominating clearly at the moment. Absolutely outstanding season for them in the early going. I don't know if any of the other cars are going to be able to pull it back as this goes on. We've got a lot of fuel to recover as well. Not so many laps, 8 laps to go. Yeah, it should be. It's recoverable. It is actually recoverable. And can we get this AlphaTauri here? Don't have much room to push with the fuel, but if we can go ahead here, overheated, but we need to do it. Back off with Van Dorn, try and get back down to Optima. No real chance at points. How far is he? 10 seconds off the points. Disappointing. Vettel, meanwhile, what have we got left? 7 laps. Oh, it's going to be a little bit tight. Even with this medium tyre, it's going to be there right at the end. We should just be able to hold on. Ricciardo, meanwhile, he's about the same as us. It is Ricciardo going to be able to hold on to the end of the race. Obviously, the AI is still pushing this tyre. Oh, it's going to be a little bit tight for Ricciardo if that's what the AI is thinking of doing. Bit of a shocker. Bit of a shocker from Renault. It could be another shocker if he loses another. Well, he's only going to drop 1 place back behind Hamilton, but that would be another place. That's more points that Renault could be giving up if they keep pushing Ricciardo. Yeah, they are. They're still going overtake mode. Renault on that Renault. That's down to Ricciardo wanting to push all out. It's going to be tight. We're going to switch back up to medium now. I think we've done a good enough job on low mode to get back. We just want to... Yeah, there's not much point, is there? We might as well just keep things going as they are. So it looks like that engine, the engine, not being as good for this race. We've fallen behind the rest of the field with the engine recently. Obviously that will be our next part to upgrade. Hopefully we can go ahead and get that done. But it's going to be quite a while. It's 7 weeks. No, is it 5 weeks to build an engine? A day under 5 weeks. It's a long time to try catch back up with this field. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit hard, especially in that Canadian Grand Prix that's coming up, where every crucial part are the parts that we are the best at the moment. We've got Van Dorn challenging away here with Giovinazzi. Can we get both our Audis behind it, one behind the other? Yeah, that's good. 12th and 13th is a decent return. Vettel's getting close here. It's 5% for the mediums to go off. It's getting close with this medium tyre. we should just be able to get to the end of the race. Obviously, there's no chance of us catching a Red Bull in front. Giovinazzi's coming into the pits on that medium, which must mean Ricciardo is thinking about giving up the ghost on this medium tyre as well. It's down to 20. Is Giovinazzi a little bit further? Giovinazzi's on 21%. I'm thinking of giving up on that medium. Should be able to see that through to the end of the race. Ricciardo should be able to see this through to the end of the race. It doesn't look like he's coming in. No, that is good. Ricciardo is staying out, which bodes well for us in that we should be able to get this through to the end of the race. Maybe we'll just go and conserve just to make sure we can do it. We don't want to pit again. Would put us... It would only swap Vettel and Van Dorn though. It would only swap them around one place. But we'll try stay out. We've got 2 laps to go here with Vettel. 2 laps to go with Van Dorn. Looks like Hulkenberg is going to win this race, but this soft tyre is going. This soft tyre is going. That is a 142. It's not slowing down. He's on his final lap, but this should have dropped off the cliff. Over that. It's gone past the... No, it's 15%, isn't it, for the soft? It is part way around this lap. I'm thinking that it's super soft. So it's not going off just yet. Yeah, he's managing to pull away from Leclerc as well. Ricciardo, meanwhile, is going to get to the end of the race. It's Leclerc in second. Then it's going to be Verstappen in third. Whereas we're going to get... we've recovered the fuel absolutely perfectly there. Won't even bother pushing because there's not much we can do. So we're just going to watch now as Hulkenberg will come across the line in first place. A great win for Nico Hulkenberg. Will be the first win of his Formula 1 career. Absolutely brilliant from Hulkenberg. Second from Leclerc. His run of 4 wins in a row has come to an end. Verstappen gets third. Ricciardo is 4th for Renault. Ocon will grab 6th place here for the Renault as well. A lot better race from Renault, but still not where they should be. Albon will grab 7th. Sainz will grab 8th. And then we will see Bottas a little bit further behind. Will grab 9th. First points for the Alpha team this season, I think, is it? And then Russell will pick up points for Aston Martin. And then Alonso in that Red Bull outside the points. That dodgy neck for him. Obviously his fitness not up there. And then we get Vettel finishing. Van Dorn finishing along with everyone else. We get the Prema of Schumacher, Alpha, who's a bit further down. Lando, who had a problem with his car, comes in 21st in the McLaren. So, not too bad overall. 12th and 13th, sort of where we should be overall in this career mode at the moment. Obviously, we would be a little bit higher up if we could get the engine up to speed. Obviously, we're quite a ways behind with the engine up, but we'll see what we can do with the engine over the next update. Currently, Stoffel is leading Sebastian by 16 points here during this season. Vettel not getting to grips with this car at all. Renault get a little bit closer to McLaren. The Ferrari running away with things now, 77 points ahead. Leclerc, Hulkenberg moves up into second, so 47 gap between him and his teammate. Then we've got the 2 Mercedes drivers, 4 points apart between them. And then the 2 Red Bull drivers, 7 points between them. And then the 2 McLaren drivers, 2 points between them. And then the 2 Renault drivers, 2 points between them. So that is pretty nice, isn't it? We've got all the drivers side by side going down. So Vettel losing morale, Van Dorn losing morale. Obviously they think they should be higher up. We finished 8th overall, which is where we are expected to be. So I'm not too disheartened with that. Vettel hasn't started degrading yet either. He's 36 years old. We should be expecting that over the next 1 or 2 seasons as well. But obviously he's not quite there with Van Dorn at the moment, as we lose more money and see the official classifications. Yeah, so another decent race there. Leclerc lost his ending streak, so Sebastian Vettel's claimed that your brakes seem to be holding the team back. Let's just risk upsetting Vettel. I don't want to lose marketability or anything else like that, upset anyone else. Whereas Vettel I can afford to upset because he's not doing the best this season. It's him holding the car back. Our brakes are actually one of the better parts in our car at the moment. If you wanted to complain about the engine or the rear wing, I could understand, but yeah, anyway, that is where we're going to leave this episode today. We're back next time. Should hopefully be tomorrow. I'm trying to do daily, but sometimes it's every 2 at the moment. My son's off school at the moment, obviously, with everything that's going off, so whether I can get round to doing one every day is a little bit of a challenge, but we do have the South African Grand Prix, which is Cape Town, which is standing in this game for Monaco. So that'll be an interesting race. It is gearbox, brakes, front wing. So that is pretty decent for us. Gearbox, brakes, front wing. So a good track for us before we then go on to Canada, which will be a horrendous track for us. So we're going to have a good race, bad race, hopefully maybe have 2 good races. But anyway, until next time, I'll see you down the road for the next episode. But until then, goodbye.